Has American Pickers lost Mike Wolfe for good? He claimed he's only taking a vacation, but his surprising decision appears to have more to it than that. Is there a hidden scandal, money, or something more deeper at play here? The truth might alter your perception of the show irrevocably, and we're going to find out what it is today. Might financial concerns be at the root of Mike Wolfe's desire to step away from the show? Nearly 40 years have passed since he began his career as a professional picker, journeying around the USA in search of invaluable antiquities, which he dubs rusty gold, to purchase. Wolfe subsequently offers these artifacts for sale at his 2 antique archaeology stores in Nashville, Tennessee, and LeClaire, Iowa. Additional items bearing his antique archaeology label are also available at these establishments. Depending on the customer's preferences, an item in his stores could cost anywhere from $18 to $900. The extraordinarily high prices charged by Wolfe retailers have been the target of criticism from certain reviews. They don't understand the $900 price tag on an antique cat food sign, for example. According to other reviewers, the store does sell some really one-of-a-kind products. You aren't given many options. Price was a major gripe for even these reviewers. But both of his shops are booming regardless of all these gripes and criticisms. One of them reportedly has $903,000 in yearly sales as of 2023. Due to the store's prompt debt payments, Experian has assigned the retailers a low-risk credit score in their business appraisal assessment. Mike has been quite successful, not only from his stores, but also from his TV show, American Pickers. The show was almost non-existent, though. Were you aware of that? While Mike's interest in picking dates back to when he was 4 years old, he didn't initially start off in that role. Mike is the middle child of 3 boys brought up by their single mother. He was born in Joliet, Illinois. Mike would often rescue broken bicycles from his neighbor's trash as a kid and fix them up to pass the time. Mike could have used that as a foundation to become a professional picker, but he chose a different path. His future seemed bright in the sport of bicycle racing, so he trained to compete at a high level. Additionally, Mike had a deep affection for motorcycles. Because his thinking is so businesslike, he opted to make a living doing what he loves, along with opening 2 bike stores, but something was still lacking. Eventually, Mike discovered what it was: the excitement of picking and the accompanying adventure. He ultimately decided he wanted to be a picker because of the exciting life he might have. He started picking up the task and was making headway. Every year, he got a sense of purpose from driving his cargo van about 60,000 miles throughout the nation in pursuit of unique antiques. After several years of this, a light bulb went off in his head. A business opportunity presented itself to Mike, and he jumped at the chance to make more money and get more attention. He had a brilliant idea for a show that would feature his penalties and was sure it would be a smashing success. After getting the inspiration, Mike started approaching many studios with his ideas. Unfortunately, they all rejected him, but he refused to give up. He persisted in selecting and presenting his concepts. The History Channel really agreed to his concept after he pitched it. They were impressed enough to air the pilot episode in 2010. That episode was just astonishing. It was the most watched first episode between 2007 and 2010, with over 3.1 million viewers. And that was only the start. About 5.4 million people in the 25-24 age bracket tuned in weekly to see him and his reliable sidekick, the plump and beardy Frank Fritz, as well as their mutual acquaintance, Danielle Colby, at Mike's antique store, Antique Archaeology, at the end of the first season. Before Mike ever conceived the idea for the program, Colby had been a close buddy of his for 10 years. Her inclusion in the show was vital due to the chemistry they shared. Due to its large audience, this program was the most popular new non-fiction series on cable television in 2010. Mike became the newest American TV star after leaving behind the inconspicuous life he had become accustomed to. Mike maintained a consistent income of $500,000 per season, or around $25,000 per episode, thanks to the show's devoted fan base. That sum is quite substantial. At this time, there have been 389 episodes spread throughout 26 seasons. How much money Mike has made throughout the years is anybody's guess. We already discussed how Mike used this capital to invest in his establishments. On top of it, he started other businesses, like restorations, and acquired 13 properties, where he crafts unique, useful pieces of furniture using repurposed light fixtures and vintage lighting components, breathing new life into them. Kid Pickers, published by Macmillan in 2013, and American Picker's Guide to Picking, released in 2011, are among his other works. Mike lost almost $6 million of his wealth, despite the fact that all of these things made him money. What the fuck happened? Exactly for this reason is Mike stepping away from the show, right? Money isn't Mike's only concern. Mike is a regular at charity events and promotes fundraising campaigns for organizations like St. Jude's Children's Hospital, Operation Smile, the American Society of Clinical Pathology, ASCPA, and animal shelters. He also founded Kid Pickers, an online community where kids aged 7 to 13 may share their own choices. Some people see Mike as a betrayer, while others see him as a fantastic guy who always puts other people before himself. Even though McKay is charming, he has had relationships that haven't worked out. Charlie, their daughter, was born a year after he wed Jodie on September 7, 2012. But in June of 2020, after being married for 8 years, the pair decided to part ways. She divorced Mike in 2021, and he was ordered to pay her nearly $6 million as part of the settlement. Mike is taking a vacation for reasons other than this tragedy, as awful as it is, and there will be more relationships like the one he had with his wife. Mike may be stepping away from the show because of his impending major fallout. Mike has been a part of this show for about 15 years, or 26 seasons to be exact. Up until 2020, he co-hosted and co-starred with Frank Fritz on the show. They drove across the United States in a Ford Transit or Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van. The performance remained interesting due to their energy and diverse interests. Mike has a soft spot for vintage bikes, coin-operated machines, air-cooled Volkswagens, and motorcycles. In contrast, Fritz had a soft spot for vintage peanut-themed merchandise, oil cans, and vintage Hondas. A lot of the antiques and collectibles that the two required came from people's houses, barns, sheds, outbuildings, and garages. Hoarders, both amateur and serious, as well as those who have received an excessive amount of stuff and are unsure of what to do with it, are among the people they visit. Using what they uncovered, each of them has their own strategy for making money. While Mike was busy selling their wares in store, Frank was busy selling them online and in his Savannah, Illinois store, Frank Fritz Finds. It was effective what they did. Frank could tell that, despite doing the actual heavy lifting, Mike would always take center stage among them because of how lovely they were. Mike would gladly get down on one knee and carry whatever they discovered. That spark between them is, alas, eternally gone. Frank passed away on October 1, 2024. After suffering a stroke in July 2022, Frank spent some time in the hospital. At the time of Frank's stroke, Mike requested his fans to pray for his recovery, and he himself was praying. Frank succumbed to what medical professionals deemed as the stroke's long-term consequences 2 years subsequent to the incident. Mike penned a moving eulogy for Frank, in which he and Frank discussed the numerous trials they had overcome side by side. Frank, according to Mike, is an authentic human being whose on-screen persona is consistent with his offline one. After that, Mike spilled the beans on how much he'd missed Frank, and how glad he was to have shared the spotlight with Frank on the show. We will soon get to the reason why not many fans believe that Mike's eulogy was sincere. But Mike didn't announce his departure from the show until 6 months after Frank passed away. Is it possible that he really longed for Frank? Why then did Mike choose Rob Wolfe, Frank's younger brother, to succeed Frank if this was indeed the case? Additionally, at the time of Frank's death, why did Mike not declare the break? Although Frank's passing was tragic, his departure from the show had nothing to do with his stroke or illness. Frank endured excruciating back pain for months due to his heavy lifting until he had to undergo surgery. After filming a few episodes before to surgery, Frank vanished from the show in March of 2020, just as his guest appearances had concluded. At the time, Mike claimed that Frank was still in the hospital after his operation. Fans started to worry where Frank was and when he would return to the show, after his unexpected absence lasted longer than expected. It wasn't until Mike verified Frank's departure from the show in 2021 that they finally got an answer. But the story that Frank told was different. Rather than leaving the show, he was forcibly removed from it, he shockingly revealed.